Chuck Berry, there wouldn't be Beatles, Stones, and Hendrix, and whoever. In either case, the first music I heard was black music, rhythm and blues, rock blues, whatever you want to call it, Chuck, with white music paled by comparison. It was saccharine sweet. And, the teen angel, can you hear me? Teenage. But, as soon as you started hearing it, and that is American idea and ideal of the people, for the people, by the people. The first words are, we the people. Mm-hmm. That's relevance to me. The fact that, for instance, Iron Maiden is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when they can sell out stadiums, and Grandmaster Flash is.
Right.
Ice Cube and I had a back and forth, and he's a bright guy, and I respect what he's done. It's not my music. I don't come from the ghetto. It doesn't speak my language. And I said in print many times, hip hop does not belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, nor does opera, symphony orchestras. How come the New York Philharmonic doesn't get the rock and roll? Because it's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But he shot back and said, no, it's the spirit of rock and roll. Okay, fine. So Ice Cube and Grandmaster Flash and all these guys are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I just want to know when Led Zeppelin's going to be in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, really? No. Music has labels because it describes an approach. Mm-hmm. By and large, rap, hip hop, it is a spoken word art. And you put, beats in back of it, and somebody comes up with a musical phrase, but it's verbal. There are some melodies, but by and large, it's a verbal thing. It's rhyming and all that.
Yo, it's Big Ant, the spokesman, man. We back. Another edition of Urban Politicians TV, UPTV. Make sure you stay on your pivot at all times, man. Had to come tap in as old Gene Simmons from Kiss has decided to shake up the conversation in music once again. And I say again because I think he has already said this before in the past, what he felt about rap music and it being considered in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame conversation and things. But it's layers to this one now because he took it to another level when he said he was not from the ghetto. And I had the links in the description where you can watch that clip in the beginning in full from the Legends and Leaders podcast as it started to circulate yesterday. And I'm just getting to it right now. Now, I want to start this first and foremost, bro. When you come out and you jump out there and say, well, I'm not from the ghetto, it's like, what does you, in your experience of you not being from the ghetto, have to do with you enjoying rap music, liking rap music, or being a fan of rap music? I want to make this very clear because this is how they monolith us. This is disrespectful to black people for the simple fact, yes, the original culture of what come from hip hop, which if you know your real history, is coming off of rock and roll and funk and everything else that black people in America created from the late 1800s there and getting it out there heard, and then in the early 1900s when it was officially dropping on records of what the original rock and roll was. That's what rap and hip hop today deprived from this music, from funk, from James Brown, taking his songs and breaking down his beats. So the people who don't not educated get online and speak, they say stuff that don't make sense at times because of the simple fact, yes, the original thing of hip hop come from the streets, come from the inner cities and the culture of black American people. This is just what that is. Now, when you say that, does that mean that other people don't enjoy the music because you don't enjoy it, or you need to be from the ghetto to enjoy it, or things like that? Because most of the rappers, if you look at their album sales, if you look at their major big concerts, this is why they go overseas, and it's all type of people that ain't black or even here in America who enjoy the music, the finished product of it. They don't be from the ghetto. It just is what it is. So when you say that, what are you really getting at right there with that mindset? It's like you're down talking. And when you do that, you down talk us. But I'm going to tell you where else it don't add up and make sense for somebody like a Gene Simmons to say that, because your genre of music that you were classified in with rock and roll, that came from the black people who were living a certain way, might have not been financially stable. You don't come from where they come from. You don't come from slavery, where the roots of this come from. You don't come from that demographic of where rock and roll started at, because it come from blues and all these other genres that black people had already started, blues and country, and then this became the sped up version of R&B. That's what rock and roll is known as if you look at your history. The blues, the soul, the R&B type of music that they were doing back at that time and era. Rock and roll was like the sped up version of it, but it's crazy because you hear him talk. He acknowledges this as a black art form in the beginning of this interview, where he talks about Chuck Berry, Jimi Hendrix, and all of these guys. I came in looking at black music, and you got to do the research and look at the roots and not just the tree above earth. Well, if you know that, then you would know that you're doing rock and roll, and what rock and roll originally was, you didn't come from what they came from either, because let's be clear, he wasn't even born in America, first and foremost. Let's keep that 100. And then you wasn't raised how they was raised back in the day. You didn't go through what they went through. But now with hip hop, it's this and that. You got to be from the ghetto, and I'm not from the ghetto. Fam, I'm not listening to nobody who talk like that. It's out of pocket, not line. And I want to make this clear to the people that's going to do their best to not understand what I'm saying. What Gene Simmons and a lot of these rock groups consider rock and roll today is not the origin of rock and roll. So in my mind, the way that I stand, which is in reality, who are y'all to say what is rock and roll ain't? Because the rock and roll ain't what it was that was created by the originators. Now, when it comes to the conversation of rappers being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you can have your opinion on it. You can feel how you feel about it. But at the end of the day, it come from where it come from. What they got as rock and roll today ain't what rock and roll it was at that point in time, bro. Rock and roll did not start out with these metal groups or these other type of artists and the sounds that they brought with it. That ain't what it came from. So you can't come out here, revamp something, make it be something else. And then you got this modern day rock and roll stuff that they starting to do, which the people like Machine Gun Kelly, who was trying to rap at first, and now they doing this other soft rock, all these other things they reinvent that we originally created. Now, should we have a rap and hip hop Hall of Fame? I think we should. Rap and hip hop music genre, as it being called that, because rap and hip hop was being done before it got put on music, the culture of it, the creation of it. It was already being done before they even called it hip hop. If you know, you know. It just became that name later on. Should we have our own Hall of Fame? Yes, we should. But for him to get on there and say that, nah, bro, you can't. That don't make no sense. Like, you can't even put it out there like that. And like Ice Cube told him, it's the spirit of it is what makes the people knock it. The originality of where it come from, the spirit, the thought process behind it, the mindset of it is what they say is getting the people in there. And I can understand what the approach is with that, because this is a level of, hey, we understand what you brought to this game of music in general, just overall music, what you brought to it. And that's what I always looked at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as. This is just generally a music thing. It just is what it is. The fan bases, and they might cross over and overlap. All these music genre fan bases do overlap. But he know that ain't the same, bro. And we know at the end of the day, the roots, the bloodline, and the lineage of the creators of rock and roll, before that, the blues, the R&B, the jazz, the country, this all come through what we talking about, y'all, our people. Late 1800s, early 1900s. Even if you want to trace back the original roots and go back to the slave plantations. We got to come with these real type of educational conversations right here for you to just throw it out there. Man, I ain't from the ghetto. I ain't from the ghetto. You ain't from what the rockin', what was originally blues, what was originally country, that and all that transferred into R&B and then rock and roll. You ain't from that either. So what is you really saying? And that's my thing on it. We're not doing the undercutting stuff anymore. 2026, everything got to get called out. We got to check it at the door, and it will be spoken on respectfully. You don't get to dictate nothing for something that you didn't create either, that you want to take as the stances. Well, it can apply here, but not apply here. Well, I'm going to make it apply to them, but it don't apply to us and things like that. It just is what it is, bro. I'm not here to be on no, like, let's just cause a bunch of chaos. But sometimes you got to be difficult in your stances. That's the only way they going to get it. Sometimes they say, oh, man, I don't want to step on no toes. Well, let me tell you, when you speak out of pocket, you talk down to black people in this country who created these genres of music, I'm not here to step on your toes. I'm ready to jump as high as I can and stomp down on your toes. It is what it is. I don't care. I'm standing firm on it. Whoever like it, you don't like it, it is what it is. Tell me what y'all think. We just dropped a new Patreon video up. My final thoughts on the Super Bowl stuff. Supposedly Kendrick Lamar still had the higher views than Bad Buddy on it. People getting mad when you say you didn't enjoy the Super Bowl thing. That's my latest video on Patreon, and we got more coming. Urban Politicians TV. Y'all can do that on the website or the app. I had a link in the description for that. Tell me what y'all think. We got more coming, more videos, all that for shit show. Stay on your pivot.